Good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice.
And I am Alfred, Ocansey.
The news is also live on Kesme 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. On Facebook, we're streaming live on 3FM 92.7. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours, Attorney General justifies decision not to put up a defense in the $111 million arbitral award, saying the nation has to simply pay Ghana Power Generation Company.
Also, this evening, we have reactions from the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, on this over $134 million judgment debt to Trafigura. Stay with us. We have details of that. Plus, the Electoral Commission expresses concerns about low turnout for the voter registration exercise. Day 2.
Also tonight, Peace Council still hopeful of getting main opposition NDC to rescind decision not to sign pre-election peace pact, despite the NDC stating its terms for a peace accord.
Also, stay with us. We have details on your election command center. Some 180 days to December 7 remain. Your election command center, as the Electoral Commission has been explaining why you would have to pay 50 pesos to check voter details. And they say it's for the service provider, not the Electoral Commission. Why is that? Stay with us. We have details for you.
Plus, business and sports all coming up in the next 1.5 hours. For now, though, Safwa Boahene is here with a news summary. Safwa, what do you have?
Thank you, Beatrice, and welcome to the news summary segment. On to our first story. The National Peace Council is hopeful the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will sign the 2024 Peace Pact, saying there is no reason to spin heads over the demands by the party. Chairman of the council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, maintains that the NDC's grievances will be resolved. This comes as the NDC set 6 conditions that it wants to be addressed before signing the Peace Pact. The council has also encouraged journalists to tackle hate speech and false news ahead of the 2024 elections. Also, according to the chairman of the council, misinformation and manipulative narratives are being weaponized to shape public opinions, a move he says can affect the country's peace. We also to our second story, government's handling of contracts with foreign partners is under scrutiny once again, as the U.S. District Court has awarded a judgment debt in excess of $111 million to power company GPGC. Ghana in 2015 entered into an agreement with power company GPGC, which is Ghana Power Generation Company, requiring it to transport and install a power plant in Ghana during the power crisis. Government in 2019 terminated the agreement, alleging GPGC had breached certain conditions under the contract. The Power Generation Company took the matter to an arbitration tribunal in London, resulting in the award of damages in excess of $134 million. And also, lastly, on to our last story, Ghana needs $300 million annually to achieve its HIV/AIDS elimination targets by 2030. The Director General of the Commission, Dr. Treme Tuahine, in the sidelines of the dissemination of the National AIDS Spending Assessment, NASA, said it will take 50 more years for the country to achieve this target with the current inflows. As of 2023, Ghana has over 334,000 people living with HIV/AIDS, including 17,550 children under the age of 15. Treatment, care and support accounted for the largest share of the expenditure, while development and research received the least of funds. The Director General of the Commission revealed that the Commission is working towards improving its access to funds, and this brings us to the end of our segment. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much, Safwa Boahene, for bringing us the summary of the news. Now, the government handling of contracts with foreign partners is under scrutiny once again, as a U.S. District Court has awarded a judgment debt in excess of $111 million to power company GPGC. Now, this was due to the government of Ghana's failure to fully comply with the previous tribunal decision from the United Kingdom. In addition to the this judgment, the court has mandated that Ghana pays post-judgment interest. Earlier in 2021, a UK court awarded $140 million judgment debt against Ghana following the termination of a power deal with GPGC. Now, the court also ordered Ghana to pay the full amount of the early termination payment, totaling over $134 million, as well as the costs related to quote-unquote mobilization, demobilization, preservation and maintenance. The court has also directed Ghana to cover all accrued interest. And I have in the studio with me Dennis Wedham, who has some details for us. Dennis, first of all, give us a background to this tribunal award.
Well, so let's backtrack to 2017 when the New Patriotic Party took over the reins of power. One of the arguments they made then, as being part of the reasons that they said the economy was not in good shape, was that the previous government had signed quite a number of power purchase agreements that had put so much burden on them. They call them the excess capacity charges and all that. So one of the things that they did then was to conduct an audit into the power purchase agreements, and subsequently some of those power purchase agreements were terminated. It is as a result of termination of some of those power purchase agreements that has resulted in this particular judgment there, because one of the parties or the companies that was providing power for the country under those one of the power purchasing agreements was slighted by the termination, because per the contract it was not supposed to be terminated as at the time it was terminated. So they decided to seek redress in under arbitration. So fortunately for them, I mean, they got that in their way, and then they got a judgment debt of in excess of $134 million US. That was the initial award in the UK. What then happened was that for some reason, when I say we, I mean Ghana, the government of Ghana did not pay up the entire judgment debt. They paid a part of it. So there was an attempt by this company, that's the GPGC, yes, to enforce the remainder, which is the $111 million that you mentioned. So that was actually a remainder of the judgment debt that they got. If you recall, in 2023, somewhere in October, there were reports that a High Commission in the UK was attached to a judgment debt.
I remember.
That was in respect of that particular, because when they were chasing Ghana to get their money and they were not getting the money, then they decided to use other means of getting their money, including attaching properties of Ghana in the UK to get that money. Having failed in doing so, they went to start some new processes in the US, where they went to enforce the award that they got in the UK to get the $111 million US.
Was it the same one that we heard that the government of Ghana had been given some time and it looked like it failed in meeting those times to ensure that the issue was dealt with?
Yes, so when they went for the enforcement in the US and they filed the processes, unfortunately for the government of Ghana, they did not enter any defense. And as a result, what we are having to deal with today is that US district court has actually also confirmed the $111 million US judgment debt against Ghana, because it came across as a default judgment. We did not enter any defense, and that's basically where we are.
I see. We did not enter any defense because we had a bad case, or
well, really, that's what some of the experts are saying. They are simply making the case that because the court because the arbitral award in the UK was final, it really did not. It wasn't in our interest anymore to want to defend what we had already started paying in any way, but just to let it go. So it's just a reaffirmation of the fact that yes, indeed, the abrogation of the contract was not
illegal.
Not illegal per se, but it was untimely, for which reason we needed to pay the money that were asked.
So Dennis, based on that untimeliness of what you're just giving us, I just wanted to find out whether you have this information for us, when this deal was signed and why in this legal battle it was untimely at the time it was abrogated.
Well, so like I explained earlier, because we were in dire need of the energy, that was when we were in energy crisis as far back as
2015, 2016.
Yes, so we signed these, what we call the power purchase agreements. Now, per the contract, it was supposed to elapse at a certain date. But when the new government came in, they decided to terminate it. So what it means is that it was terminated earlier than it should have ended. And under the contract, if you do so, you are supposed to pay them a certain amount of money. Now, if you also recall, There was a time when Peter Amewu was the Minister for Energy, he held a press conference that indicated that some 11 power purchase agreements were terminated. He made the argument that the amount that they were going to pay for termination was cost effective as compared to if they were going to allow those things to run. So they had already done their cost analysis. He puts the figure somewhere around 400 million for termination, and if we're going to allow the project to run, all the power purchase agreements to run, we're going to be paying in excess of 500 million. So in that argument, it made sense for us to have terminated. But it does appear that they did not anticipate that there will come a time where they'll go into litigation or arbitration and have to pay this much. So essentially, that's the fuller picture of how we have come on this matter.
But the Attorney General has been talking. In fact, he also reacting to this position of criticism as to why he did not enter a defense and why we are having to pay this much when we had entered into some sort of a settlement, agreement with Trafigura. We didn't honor it, and we're having to pay more now.
Yes. So two things that Attorney General is saying. That first off, what happened in the UK was a final award, so it did not. It wasn't something that we would want to contest anymore because already there was a plan to pay the money. And of course, from 134 million, now we are talking about 111 million. So it means we had already started paying. And also two, that if judgment debt is awarded against Ghana, it is not on the Attorney General to make that payment. The Ministry of Finance ought to have done so. And he does not understand why now there are criticisms against this person. He makes the case that in any case, this particular award or this case did not happen under his tenure as Attorney General. If you look at the timelines, the first award was made against us on the 26th of January 2021. Then he wasn't the Attorney General yet. So he makes the case that he has a clean record when it comes to judgment debts, and that this was not under his government. And then again, too, we had already made moves to start paying it. So if there's any issue of payment, it should be the Ministry of Finance and not the Attorney General's office.
But there's some arbitration fees and expenses that GPGC incurred, totaling over $3 million with an interest of 3 months, compounded quarterly.
Yes.
As per the judgment.
Yes, so that is standard practice. So that if we go into arbitration and then I emerge victorious, then it's on me to pay for the cost of the arbitration. And usually, if you're not able to pay, and this applies to whether arbitration or litigation, interest runs on the money. So that if I was supposed to pay you, say, like 100 cedis today, and I'm not able to pay today, if I'm supposed to pay in the next 5 years, I will not pay you 100 cedis again. It has to come with a certain interest. So these are standard practices. But of course, the fear is that if you don't pay the money now, and it has to take some time, by the time we pay it, interest will still accrue.
Well, let's hear from the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, superintendent over the emergency power agreement we're talking about now, saying that government's reasons for terminating the agreement were unjustified. I spoke to him earlier, and this is what he had to say.
Well, let me make this clear distinction. I am not criticizing Godfrey Dame. I'm criticizing the Office of the Attorney General. I want to make that distinction, not the person of Godfrey Dame. However, I am not the one criticizing. If you read the judgment, the U.S. court alluded to the fact that the Ghana legal team or Ghana's legal representative made a very weak attempt at a defense. And therefore, I'm only reiterating what the court has said. So that critique is not originating from me. I'm only re-echoing. And I tend to agree with the critique. You see, I am very disappointed with the handling of this issue right from the word go. I say that for the reason that the minister whose signature terminated the contract said at the time that he sought and received legal advice from the Attorney General's office. If you care to know, Godfrey Dame was then a Deputy Attorney General. So he was part of the Attorney General's office. Then he went ahead to illegally do the termination. And then when we were called before the arbitration panel, our case was so weak that the arbitration panel judged against us. Then on the back of that, the country agreed with Trafigura a settlement plan. Again, the Attorney General and their agents were the lead representatives of Ghana. We agreed a settlement plan. An initial 1 million plus was paid as part of the settlement plan. And then we reneged again. The Attorney General, being the advisor to government, being the lead player in the settlement negotiations, etc., has a responsibility to bring to the attention of the ministries of energy and ministries of finance the breaches that were perpetuating even against the settlement agreement. And with this, it is only right that the Office of the Attorney General is brought to book. $111 million is not chicken feed. It is serious money and can do a lot in education, can do a lot in healthcare delivery, can do a lot in power supply, and in almost every facet of our national life. $111 million is not pocket change.
That's former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor there. I spoke to him on this latest development and matters arise. Let's stay a bit further on this, shall we?
Indeed, and we're joined by Nana Mwesia VII. He's the Executive Director for the Institute for Energy Security, IES. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening to you, Beatrice, and to Alfred, and thanks for having me.
Let me first get your understanding or how your preliminary comment, what you make of what has just happened. We have $111 million debt on our head to pay.
Beatrice, it illustrates a significant legal and financial challenge for Ghana, resulting from its failure to comply, maybe fully, with previous international tribunals' ruling. The case, as we see, highlights issues of governance, contractual obligations, and the potential repercussions of defaulting on international agreements.
Okay, that's your preliminary comment. We had a former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, in that interview that we just played for you. I don't know whether you heard that. He's clearly saying that at least the Ministries of Finance and Energy should have drawn the attention of the AG to this matter before we get in here. Would you agree with him?
To a large extent, Beatrice, I would do that. The situation, as we see, is avoidable. Ghana could have taken several steps to mitigate the outcome. It could be that if Ghana had complied with the UK tribunal's ruling in full or reached an agreement with GPGC, it might have avoided further legal and additional financial penalties. If the Ministry of Energy or the Ministry of Finance have been proactive in resolving the issue and paying, I'm sure we wouldn't have gotten to this far. Also, we think that the legal team was not proactive in responding to the court summons in the U.S. and presenting a defense for Ghana, so we could have gotten a favorable outcome or a reduction in the damages awarded.
So would you say that the Ministries of Finance and Energy and those who are responsible at the time should be held responsible for this debt you're paying?
Yes. If you are looking at responsibility in light of multiple parties within the Ghanaian government today, those involved in the termination of the power purchase agreement and those responsible for managing the subsequent subsequent legal processes could be held or should be held accountable for the breach of contract and the failure to comply with the tribunal's ruling. Also, the legal teams responsible for advising government, as we see, have failed to provide adequate counsel on consequences of not adhering to the tribunal's decision. We could also blame the policymakers, those who terminated the contract without adequately addressing the potential legal and the financial ramifications.
How would you expect them to be held to be held responsible for these?
Well, we all know when you cause financial loss to the state, there are processes with which the government can take to at least claw back that lost money from whoever is to be blamed. So there are processes to follow. It's not just by just looking at the personality. They must be taken through due process.
I mean, this is not the first time Ghana will be paying any sort of judgment debt. How does that make you feel, and how people responsible for our finances are really taking care of what has been held in their trust?
Beatrice, this judgment will definitely have several negative effects on Ghana's power or energy sector, and also the entire economy. The significant financial burden from the judgment would definitely divert funds away from critical energy projects or maintenance, which will result into weakness in the performance of the sector. Also, as we see, the ruling definitely undermines investor confidence in Ghana's energy sector, as it highlights risks associated with contractual agreements and government reliability. Let's look at this. Beatrice, definitely and surely, Ghana's reputation as a reliable partner in international energy agreements would definitely be hurt or damaged. And this will make it more difficult to attract foreign investment or negotiate future deals. So definitely there are costs to this ruling. And we must avoid such a situation the next time we get opportunity.
We must avoid such a situation the next time we get the opportunity. We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. Nana Mwesia, the 7th Executive Director, Institute for Energy Security.
So live here on Hot Edition. There's still hope. That's the verdict of the National Peace Council as it expects the National Democratic Congress NDC to sign the 2024 Peace Pact. The NDC on Tuesday made strong demands that it wants to be met before it would consider signing the document. But in a response, the council says the conditions by the NDC are ones, indeed, that can be handled by authorities beyond the National Peace Council. Here's the chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Enes Edujemfi, earlier today.
NDC has not said categorically that they won't sign. They've given out some grievances. We will meet with them, we will talk about those things, and we will resolve them. I don't think that it's something that we should split our heads over. Our doors are always open. We work with the parties, we talk with them. And so we listen to them, we find a way to talk and find a solution to some of these grievances.
Well, that's the chair of the National Peace Council. That is not all. He mentions that the grievances of the NDC are not ones that should cause any spin, for that matter.
The ones that are within our capacity, we will do them. Some of them are not within our control, and there's nothing that the Peace Council itself can handle. But we'll deal with some of these things.
But failure to sign the Peace Pact, will it serve as a threat to our peace during, before, and after the elections?
I don't think we want to preempt that. Our hope is that they will sign. And so let's work towards that.
Reverend Dr. Enes Edujemfi made these remarks at a forum to engage news editors on conflict-sensitive reporting earlier today in Accra. He also called on the media to tackle fake news, hate speech, and manipulative narratives.
One of the most significant impacts of misinformation on the election process is the erosion of trust in the democratic system. When voters are bombarded with false information, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to make informed decisions. This undermines the very foundation of democracy and leaves voters feeling disillusioned and manipulated. When false narratives dominate public discourse, it becomes challenging to separate facts from fiction. In addition to misinformation, hate speech played a significant role in the 2020 elections. Hate speech does not only contribute to a toxic political climate, but also undermines the principles of democracy and equality. The impact of hate speech extends beyond the election period. It perpetuates a culture of division and animosity, making it increasingly difficult for different political factions to find common ground. The polarization hampers meaningful dialogue and obstructs the search for shared solutions to complex issues. When inflammatory rhetoric becomes commonplace, it desensitizes individuals to the impact of their words. Respectful and civil discourse is replaced with insults and personal attacks, degrading the quality of political discussions. It is for these reasons that the need for conflict-sensitive reporting is very crucial in our media landscape.
As the chair of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Dujemfi, there.
Let's bring you some more here. And military juntas of Mali and Burkina Faso have petitioned the United Nations Security Council to look into what they say is Ukraine's support for rebel groups in West Africa's Sahel region. Now, both Mali and Niger cut diplomatic ties with Ukraine in early August over comments by spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence, Yusuf, about fighting in Mali's north that killed Malian soldiers and mercenaries from the Russian Wagner group in late July. Now, Yusuf had said that Malian rebels had received necessary information to conduct a successful military operation. And in their petition to the UN Security Council on Tuesday, Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso asked the Council to take responsibility for Ukraine's actions to prevent subversive acts that threaten regional and continental stability. We're joined by Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired. He's a security consultant. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Colonel, would you say that the hostilities between these countries, and I mean Russia and Ukraine, are what is now displaying or playing out really in the Sahel region?
It's what?
Would you say that what's happening between Russia and Ukraine is what we're seeing in the rebel activities within the Sahel region?
Well, what we know is that normally such operations would have been of a covert nature. You don't come out openly to claim that you used a proxy. But in this instance, the Ukrainian intelligence, in short the GU or whatever that means, has come out openly, has been reported in mainstream media, including the BBC, claiming that they shared intelligence with the jihadis that are combating or fighting the Malian authorities. And they did that because the jihadis were going to attack or had to attack a Wagner group fighting alongside the Malians or supporting the Malians. And in that encounter, not only Russian side, we also had Malian soldiers who died. I cannot give the numbers offhand. So the seriousness issue is that Africa appears to be so weak that countries at war in their region, geopolitical region, can extend that conflict into Africa and have the audacity to come out openly and claim that they provided intelligence to, a jihadist group. One would have expected that even if regional bodies, i.e. ECOWAS and the African Union, are not happy with the circumstances under which Mali, Burkina, and Niger left the AU, the context of this attack is such that it should have spoken in the protection of African sovereignty. And this letter that you have referred to, in the first instance, should have been a communication that should have left either ECOWAS or the AU
directly to the government of Ukraine, expressing their dissatisfaction with the audacity that Ukraine can come and attack its enemies on African soil. I hope you get the context. Now, the AU has not done that, and the AU has not even complained, if you like, to the United Nations. And why is the AU and ECOWAS silent? Because if the idea is that, okay, Mali is now being punished, or Mali and the three countries are suffering the consequences of their own decisions,
exiting the group,
is a very serious mistake.
But Kendo, how do you see what is happening, really escalating an already bad situation in this volatile area?
Well, when you have a conflict of this nature, if you read the history of the instability in the Sahel, it started in Mali. It started with a local dispute between the Tuaregs in the north of the province called Azawad, and then the government of Mali based in Bamako. That's how it started. Unfortunately, when it started, Libya had already started imploding. So the Tuaregs that had been recruited by Gaddafi's, army for his own protection returned from Libya, not empty-handed. They came with armaments and then started a rebellion and almost got to Mali. In 2013, it took a combination of Chad, let's say ECOWAS, the African Union, of course, the French, to stop that rebellion from reaching Bamako. Then the jihadists followed. Now it has spread to Burkina. Yeah, it has linked up with Boko Haram in Nigeria, and even Al-Shabaab all the way in Libya. So it's already a very serious conflict. Add to that the instability in Sudan. You see, so the nature, the dynamics of this conflict should have been serious enough to attract the attention of ECOWAS and the African Union.
And you're just certainly
the exit aside to try and make sure that there are no foreign interferences, because the more you have actors, including external actors, the more complicated the conflict becomes. It now goes beyond a localized African conflict and then becomes an internationalized armed conflict. And of course, we know that we cannot ordinarily combat, those powers from outside. In fact, there are allegations that Ukraine was being used by NATO, for instance. Of course, this has not been proven. It's only a conspiracy theory. But you can imagine that certain European powers, and of course America, that are not happy that Africa is now regaining control of its territorial integrity and resources, will do everything to ensure that they come back to control those African territories. So we must have this idea of African solidarity.
And you just...
When we have done that, we can come and resolve who stays in which regional organization or who doesn't stay.
Indeed. At this stage, what would you expect? I know you've spoken a bit about even ECOWAS and AU coming out with statements now. We haven't heard anything from them. But beyond that, what would you expect them to do immediately?
The statement is important. Now, I cannot remember the year, but when the Ukrainian-Russian conflict started, Ukraine wanted to come and address the African Union, for instance. Now, why did Ukraine want to gain access to that African platform? So diplomatically, African Union and ECOWAS and whoever have levers. So beyond the rhetoric, you send strong signals to any European country, whether it's France or whether it's Belgium, Italy, Ukraine, whoever, that Africa is not for sale. You see, because the whole picture is that these powers are very, very concerned that Africa is gradually regaining control over its strategic resources, which is the territory and the natural resources that are there. Now, if we don't orchestrate the diplomatic levers, and we keep quiet, then of course it's a signal that we are acquiescing to these external influences. Faith.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Colonel Festus Abuaji.
You're welcome, please.
He is a security consultant.
Well, it's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. Also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. While we are the head of the Electoral Commission's training department, Dr. Siribo Kweko, has clarified that the 50 pesos fee for checking voter registration details online is paid to the service providers, not directly to the Electoral Commission. Now, according to him, none of the fees goes to the Electoral Commission, and this charge has been consistent at 50 pesos in both the 2016 and the 2020 elections. The Member of Parliament for the South Dyke constituency, Nelson Roxon Dafiampo, has expressed concern about this fee. The Electoral Commission introduced a short code of *71151#, allowing voters to verify their registration details ahead of the 2024 general elections. However, Nelson Roxon Dafiampo objects to the cost associated with this particular service. Dr. Shibakweko has been speaking about this, indicating that the service providers put that charge on it, and if the money were to come to the Electoral Commission, that is their money for them to account for, but it is not for this, but for the service charge as well, which they are paying for right now. Let's hear from Dr. Siribo Kweko, who's been speaking about this, plus the second day of the voter exhibition exercise, which the Electoral Commission says has witnessed a low voter turnout, which is of concern for them.
Most of the people think that, for example, we are exhibiting the 2020 register. So they'll tell you that 2020 I voted, so why should my name get out of it? Or 2023 I voted. So they don't believe that after voting, something can happen to your name. Then there have been instances where, if you file for voting, once you get your ID number and your biometrics, you will vote. We don't care whether you are a male, whether you are a female, your age and the spelling of your name. But there have been instances where some people want to use their card for some international transaction, and even though you need a passport, but they will ask you that we want you to add there, because they know that there have been people in situations where there are inconsistencies. The age on the passport is different from the age on Ghana card, different from the age on the voter ID card. So some of the times, and that's why you see people coming to plead that, do this for me, do that for me. And it is only during the exhibition that all errors could be corrected and effected.
There were concerns from particularly the NDC over the timing, the timelines given to the party to go through the provisional register. But since you made it available for them, what has been the feedback from the parties to you?
I've not heard of any complaints, so I'm tempted to believe that they are okay with that.
There's also the worry over the coalition challenges of the commission. Case in point are recent statistics from the limited registration exercise, even from the numbers put out by the chairperson of the commission in Parliament. The commission has assured that it is working on it, or it has worked on it. Practically, what has the commission done to ensure that these things do not happen?
With respect to figure change and the rest, if you follow this process, the data itself will not change, but it's the infographics that we put on our website, that the copy and paste where they made a mistake by in one region, they repeated the same figure, 2,500, 2,500. Was it not? Was it 2,500, 2,500? Then the other one too was the number of challenges. They did the histogram. Instead of when they were putting the figures for the histogram, they repeated the Greater challenges for Upper East. So it's not that the issue that it's frequent in it. Actually, the actual data, there were no programs. So we have all learned from all these things. Now, if you talk of the figure that the chairperson, you see, if you talk of provisional register, they will continue to change.
As the head of training at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Siribo Kweko there.
Some more here, and the Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants Association of Ghana has voiced its deep frustration and disappointment over what it describes as the government's neglect in posting qualified environmental health officers and assistants. The association in a statement said that despite 4 batches of graduates from 2021 through 2024, totaling over 2,000 individuals, none has been posted to date. The association has also said with dismay that the recent clearance and posting of teachers and nurses, which they commend, but argue underscores the glaring omission of their own members. And we're joined by Alfred Atinga, who is General Secretary of the group. He'll be joining us very shortly, but you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM and 92.7. So this is just another group coming up called Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants Association of Ghana, asking the government to post members. I think we do have Alfred Atinga on the line with us, who is General Secretary of Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants of Ghana. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, madam, and good evening to our listeners.
Would you kindly first help us with an understanding of what you do, actually?
Yes, environmental health officers in Ghana, we have only 3 schools, and of course, the first health institution in Ghana, that is Tamale Ho and Akrofi. When we complete like this, we go to our services. Certificate people don't do services. At the end of the day, we are posted 3 months or immediately after we are done with our completion. But in this time around, we have been in the house since 2021, and we are now having 4 badges. So if I'm not mistaken, we have been in the house. We, the 2021 badge, have been in the house for 3 to 4 years now, and the list keep on, or every year we keep on having graduates. We were over 1,604. Now we are over 2,000, and our attempts to secure postings since 2021 has always been one way or the other. There's ban on employment, there's this, there's that. We have done series of demonstrations. We have petitioned the government severally. We have given notice or petition to Northern Regional Minister to be submitted. We know and we have heard it hasn't gotten to them. So once we have been in the house and we have seen that environmental health officers that are supposed to keep the country clean, as our president wants Ghana to be the cleanest city in Africa, of which the aim is not being achieved because officers are inadequate. We are now saying that once they don't hear us, if these 2 weeks elapse, early next month, we are preparing with our bags, our luggages, dairy, cylinders and mattresses to come and occupy these 3 ministries who are responsible for our training and postings. That is Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Local Government, and Ministry of Water and Sanitation. And so we have been home for so long, and that is what is making us a burden, or that has made us a burden to our parents. Not only our parents, but in Ghana, as we say, environmental health officers are essential workers, and the government, or we as Ghanaians, we need to focus and emphasize on that, because
so that's what I tried to understand. What exactly do? You talked about cleaning. How exactly? Can you give us details of the kind of work you do?
Yes, what we do as environmental health officers is that we ensure that all sanitary bylaws are enforced. We do house-to-house inspection. We do medical screening for food vendors. Anywhere you buy food to eat, environmental health officers do health screening for them, so that we will make sure that they don't have any communicable diseases like typhoid, let's say typhoid, and maybe hepatitis B to be transferred to the other persons. We ensure that all assembly workers, that is the casual workers who are for cleaning and do their cleaning very well, so that the community or the country will be clean. We collaborate with Zoom Lion to make sure that all the metropolitans and municipal assemblies in Ghana is being clean. We do not only intend cleaning the place because we want it to be clean, but we clean it to prevent the level or to reduce the level of communicable diseases or the increase in chronic diseases as well in the people, because when you go to the OPDs, most of the diseases that are there or being diagnosed of are of sanitary-related issues.
And Ms. Awene, what you're saying is that within 2 weeks, if you don't hear from the government, you're coming to picket here within the ministries.
Yes, please.
All right, we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. Awene Alfred Atinga, he's General Secretary of a group calling itself Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants of Ghana.
Well, still live here on Hot Edition. This is your Election Command Center. Let's go back to our earlier story where the head of the Electoral Commission's training department, Dr. Sibokweko, has clarified that the 50 pesos fee for checking voter registration details online is paid to the service provider, not the Electoral Commission. This was after the Member of Parliament for the South Dyke constituency, Nelson Rox Dafempo, had expressed concern about this 50 pesos fee. He's joining us on the telephone right now. Honorable Nelson Rox Dafempo, Member of Parliament for the South Dyke constituency. I appreciate your time, Council. Good evening to you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to have joined you.
First off, this is what the Electoral Commission's response is to your concern about this 50 pesos fee. It says none of the fees, this 50 pesos, goes to the Electoral Commission. And this is a charge that has been consistent at 50 pesos during the 2016 and 2020 elections. So nothing new, really. The 50 pesos, they don't take it. It goes to the service provider.
Thank you very much. The fact that this happened in 2015 and 2020 without any protestation from anybody till today doesn't make it legitimate. It is an unlawful fee that they are charging. In any case, who contracted the telcos to offer this service? Who contracted them? Is it not the Electoral Commission? Who put out a statement guiding citizens or registered voters that they should key in a certain *711 *51 hash in order to check their names on the electoral roll? Who did that? It's the Electoral Commission. So that is an official act. It means the Electoral Commission has a certain understanding or relationship or contract with the telcos. It means also that they had agreed on the fee to be levied. Why are they not charging 5 cedis? Why are they not charging 1 cedi? So it means there's a certain agreement in place. And I'm saying the Electoral Commission, as a constitutional body set under Article 45 of our 1992 Constitution, has no such power to levy fees for electoral services that they offer the people. It's only Parliament that can do that, that can permit them to do that. And as Parliament, we haven't done that. They brought a budget to offer services this year, for which budget we approved. Checking electoral services via services provided by telcos wasn't part of that. So if they intended to do that, they should bring a budget for Parliament to approve of it. It is absolutely unacceptable and against our democratic ethos for Electoral Commission to be levying citizens for them to have access to the electoral services that they offer. This is the principle I am espousing. The amount may seem negligible, but if you have in excess of 10 million people, for instance, accessing this service, accessing their names on the electoral roll using this service, the amount of money that's supposed to go to the telcos is in excess of 5 million Ghana cedis. Who are they accounting to? Why should citizens pay in excess of 6 million or 5 million Ghana cedis in order to determine whether their names are on the electoral roll or not? So Electoral Commission cannot be charging people for electoral services they offer, whether manually or electronically. They cannot do that.
I see the argument you make about they adding it to their budget, he makes the point that this is not part of the EC's budget, to the extent that including it would mean the funds would then go directly to the Electoral Commission. So the EC's role in his argument is to ensure that voters can verify their names at polling stations, while the service provider is responsible for offering online verification for those who cannot visit a polling station.
Now, under what relationship is this being rolled out? Are the telcos doing this suo moto without any contract from the Electoral Commission? By all means, they were engaged by the Electoral Commission to do this. By all means, there's a certain understanding in place. By all means, the fee has been fixed at 0.5 cedis. That is the point I am making. Why are they not offering this free? Why is it not being offered for free? Why must a citizen who has been asked by the Electoral Commission to check his name on the voter roll electronically pay money to do that? That is the point. That is the point I am saying. That the Electoral Commission is capable of rolling this out electronically. If they are refused to do that or fail to do that, and they have sublet this to a telco to offer at a fee, it is unacceptable because it's not been approved under our laws and it's not been approved by Parliament, which approved the budget for the activities for the year. So the explanation they are offering is neither here nor there. It's an illegal tax, and it has to be reversed. And any person who accessed the service using that means for which the person was levied 0.005 of a cedi must be refunded.
But Nelson Roxon, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, my brother.
Nelson Roxon Dafiambo is Member of Parliament for the South Dai constituency. This is Hot Edition. We're back shortly after this quick break with the business news with Mike Bolobolo. Stay with us.
Hello there, good evening. It's time now for the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, cost of production increases as producer price inflation surges to 29.1% in July 2024, fueling consumer inflation concerns. I am Michael Obodu. I'll bring you details of our top stories and more shortly. Please stay. Well, thank you for your time. Straight into our top story. The latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service reveals a significant increase in producer inflation with a year-on-year rise of 29.1% in July 2024. This represents a 3.5 percentage point jump from the previous month's rate of 25.6%, raising consumer inflation concerns. This report has the details.
On a month-on-month basis, the producer price index increased by 3.7% between June and July 2024. The industry sector, excluding construction, saw a notable surge in producer price inflation, rising from 32.3% in June to 37.9% in July. The construction sector also experienced a significant increase with a rate of 30.5% in July, while the services sector saw a more modest rise from 12.1% to 12.6% over the same period. The mining and quarrying sector recorded the highest inflation rate at 48.8%, followed by construction at 30.5%. In contrast, the water supply, sewage, and waste management sector saw the lowest rate at 2.6%. The PPI measures the average change in prices received by domestic producers for their goods and services, providing insight into the level of inflation faced by producers. This latest data suggests a continued upward trend in producer prices, which could have implications for the broader economy.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report. Away from that, energy expert Dr. Yusuf Suleimana has blamed institutional weaknesses for 44 oil marketing companies' disappearance, with 60 million Ghana cedis in unpaid levies owed to Bulk Energy Storage and Transportation Company Limited, best formerly known as BOST. The company is being pursued by national security, collected levies and margins from petroleum sales but failed to remit funds, highlighting systemic vulnerabilities.
This development is quite a disturbing one for the fact that probably this debt or whatever was not accumulated within a short time span. I think it's typically due to weaknesses within these institutions that has made to stay for some time, and that has culminated into what we have today. So I will urge that going forward, the regulator per se, National Petroleum Authority, they have to be stringent timelines, for these remittances to be done, because this is not the money that say not collected. The money is collected because petroleum products were lifted. They were sold by some of this oil marketing company, documented, but only the last part of it is to remit this money, and they failed to do that. And I'm saying that if there were no weaknesses within our institutions, I don't think this would have happened or would have allowed to happen.
You heard the energy expert Dr. Yusuf Suleimana speaking there. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Mines is optimistic about surpassing last year's gold production output of approximately 4.5 million ounces in 2024. The Chamber's CEO, Engineer Suleiman Akone, emphasized the importance of improving the ease of doing business in the mining sector to support increased gold production. He made these remarks on the sidelines of the Chamber's 6th HR conference in Accra.
I think it's looking good. We are hoping that we would do much better than we did last year. Pricing is good. The price of gold generally is quite healthy, although costs are also escalating. However, it's important that we ramp up production. And you don't just ramp up production. We should have that pipeline already. And that's why all the issues we've been speaking about, the issues around promoting exploration, making sure that we have that pipeline of projects coming up so that we are ready even before we see the healthy price of the major commodity in Ghana, which is gold. So, yes, we are hoping that things will be much better this year, but we need the support of everyone, including the media, government, come to our aid so that we have a healthy pipeline. Issues around exploration, licensing, permitting issues, all of these are drags on the mining industry. I want to make sure that we have seamless flow of this licensing and permitting regime for the industry, whether it is environmental permits, whether it is the proper licensing for exploration, and so on and so forth. We need to work together to make sure that we have a seamless, pipeline of projects coming through.
So you heard that the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Engineer Suleiman Akone, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website at 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports.
Well, it's time for sports here on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Owusu. The start and from that is Mediama Sporting Club, who are eagerly preparing for the new Ghana Premier League season that is set to begin on the 6th of September, and the club is ready to retain the Ghana Premier League title for the 2024-2025 season. This evening they play against Nations FC in Gawker's top 4. Head coach Nebocha Kapo has been speaking about his team and how impressed he is ahead of the game.
I have very good and very well. I have impressions from this training, and I hope we are ready for tomorrow's game. The Nations team, they have very good team. They have very good players, and I really respect a lot how they are working and how they are playing. That also I expect will be close our last games, because really that was in the game in many phases. That was so, and I also expect they will choose similar tactic. But also we have something how to respond and how to set up high football level of our performance, and I think we will catch this, and I also think in this period we will get from this game, I expect.
So that is it there from the head coach for Mediema Sporting Club. That is Nebocha Kapo getting ready for that big clash. But Kumasi Asante Kotoko continuing their preseason, and they managed to defeat Gold Stars by 1-0 in their first game that they've played outside of that is Kumasi in their preseason. They as the inauguration match between themselves and Mediema ended in a loss, but they managed to defeat that is Gold Stars by 2-0. Goal came through Bernard Somoa with a very brilliant finish to give the Porcupines another good victory. Let's hear from Calabar Samoa, who is ready to get some wonderful season ahead with Enzo Acherman.
Sure, for that one, this is an opportunity for us to play. You know, every player has a dream to, go higher in his career. And this being the first time Acherman participating in CAF, I think the boys are well organized, well prepared, and then we are well determined that it's going to be match after match. What we have to do is listen to the strategies from the technical and then read the play, sacking ourselves, motivating ourselves, and then making it to the top level. So wherever we get to, the determination that will take us there.
Wherever they get to, it is going to be the determination that is going to lead them to another level. That is according to Calabar. Someone now, let's get onto the international scene. Talking about Chelsea, and then there's lots happening with the club. Raheem Sterling has been left out of Chelsea's squad for the Europa Conference League playoff first leg against Servette. That game will be coming up tomorrow evening. This is the second straight game the 29-year-old forward has been missing following his omission from the Premier League opening against Manchester City, where Chelsea lost by 2-0. Defenders Ben Chilwell, Wesley Fofana and Tosin Adarabioyo were also not in Chelsea's squad for Thursday's match at the Stamford Bridge. Currently, Sterling's number 7 jersey has been taken away from him by the coach and is going to be given to Pedro Neto. So Raheem Sterling is not going to wear the number 7 shirt for Chelsea in the next couple of games or ever this season. Enzo Maresca has been speaking about Sterling and Ben Chilwell on their future for the upcoming season.
They are, in this moment, they are training apart. As I said already the other day, the situation with both of them is quite clear. And there is not any update on the situation. No, because they are Chelsea player. Until they are Chelsea player, they're gonna be Chelsea player. But I said the other day, we have a big squad, and for me it's impossible to give all of them minutes. So some of them, if they are looking for minutes, probably it's better to leave. And in case they don't leave, they have a contract here and they are Chelsea player.
They have a contract. They are still Chelsea players, according to Enzo Maresca. Let's move on. And Chelsea have completed the signing of Portugal forward João Felix from Atletico Madrid for a fee of around £45 million, with England midfielder Konohala also heading the opposite way. Now Felix, 24, has signed a 7-year contract to begin his second stint at the Stamford Bridge, having previously scored 4 goals in 20 appearances during a loan spell in 2023. Now you go to the other player who has moved other way, and he's going to wear a red. Konohala, the former captain of Chelsea, has agreed to a 5-year deal with the Spanish top-flight club Atletico Madrid. Gala, who joined Chelsea at the age of 6, made 90 appearances and scored 10 goals for the club, with his contract at Stamford Bridge set to expire next summer. Chelsea opted to sell him now to avoid losing him on a free transfer. Now, moving on to some other news, and Germany goalkeeper Manuel Neuer has announced his retirement from international football. The FC Bayern Munich goalkeeper, who won the 2014 World Cup and earned 124 caps with his final appearance for Germany taking place last month in the Euro 2024 quarterfinal loss to Spain, has decided to hang his gloves for his national team. He's now 38 and made his international debut in 2009, playing in 8 major tournaments. So Manuel Neuer calling it quit now. So Matt ter Stegen has opportunity to be the safest pair of hands for the next couple of years. Now, Aston Villa have also extended the contract of Emi Martinez, who has also signed a new contract with the club until 2029 after moving from Arsenal in 2020. Now, let's get into some other news. And then Letsile Tobago is getting ready for the World Championships that will be happening 11th Diamond League, and he's going to expect a very star-studded lineup with Fred Kelly. There is going to be Arion Knighton, there's Jeremy Richards, Timothy Momenthela, Letsile Tobago himself, Alexander Ogando, Joseph Fambole, the Liberian, and then William Reyes, who is from Switzerland. Tobago is currently was in Botswana 2 days ago, and he's been speaking about what he's been doing aside concentrating on the sprint that will end the year.
I was just from the farm this morning. I just spent the night over there, so I was just from the farm, and then I had to pull up, meet people like you.
What do you do on the farm?
Basically on the farm, what we do is we keep mostly I have cattle, and then other Botswana are giving me too much cattle, so I need to have a solid plan of what I'm going to do to increase the number of cattle.
The plan is what, one day you want a farm, or is it an investment?
Personally, I'll go with it's an investment for me, because athletics is not a long-term career, so I need to have different opportunities and see what I could channel our money into.
That is from Letsile Tobago, but he speaks about how he managed to win the 200 meters gold, the first for Africa ever at the Olympics.
Firstly on the heats, I was on lane 3, and I had to make sure that I go into the semis with a fresh body. So when I saw that people are not running those fast times again, I knew there was a chance for the medal. So for me, on the semis when I was with Noah, it gave me, it boosted my confidence because we all know what Noah is capable of doing. So it was a confidence booster going into the final. So on the final, when I saw it was only me and Kenny, because normally before we are out of the bend, I always see him on my left. So when I saw it was just me and Kenny, I knew Kenny doesn't have the 400 meter legs that I do have. So that was how we made it. I knew after the last 50 meters of the race that I have won the gold medal, because normally on the curve I have to see Noah out first, because I don't have that perfect curve. And then I just saw it was only me and Kenny competing at front, so I had to just know and keep up with the form. So the last 50, when I passed Kenny, that's when I knew I've won the race.
Letsile Tobago, who is going to sprint tomorrow when the 11th Diamond League begins. Now, let's take a look at some matches that will be coming up in the Champions League qualification. There is Dynamo Kiev against FC Salzburg at 7 p.m. Midtjylland against Slovan Bratislava. There is Malmo FF against Sparta Prague. There is Young Boys from Switzerland against Galatasaray. In the Conference League, currently ongoing, Victoria de Guimarães playing against Rizki Mostar in the UEFA Conference League qualification. That'll be all for sports on Hot Edition. It continues. Stay tuned. My name is Kelvin Hoswansa.
Kelvin Owusu-Ansah, thank you. You're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W 93.5 NY and beyond. Now, contrary to expectations, academic activity yet to resume at the Accra College of Education. Students who travelled home due to the prolonged strike are yet to return. Likewise, the teachers as well. There's more in the following report.
The last time there was academic activity on the campus of the Accra College of Education was on Thursday, June 13, a day before the electors declared a nationwide strike. In the last 2 months, students have had to channel their energies into other areas with anticipation for a return of their teachers. At about midday, when the team arrived at the educational facility, academic activity was yet to begin. So it is some few minutes after midday here at the Accra College of Education, and ordinarily students here should be moving from their second lesson into the third lesson, but that is not happening. The usual sight of students loitering around or moving around their hostels or their lecture halls is also absent, because even though seat access, it has called off a strike, most of the students went home and are yet to return. A few of the students who spoke with us have made a case for a flexible academic calendar.
But now it's a mixed feeling, because we'll be happy that they'll be coming back. And also the semester is almost ending. I heard that they'll be adding a month, this month we are in. Then we'll write our exam. And if that to be so, I'm not sure it will favor we the students, because a piece that we are supposed to use 3 months, almost 4 months to learn, they are to give us only 1 month to learn it, then write exam. I'm even sure the exam will be part of that month. So it's really going to have a great impact on we the students.
We are not really happy with what is going on, because we want our teachers to come back to school. As a level 400 student, I want to just have my time to complete school and then move on to what I have in life.
A member of the administration who spoke on anonymity said academic work is likely to begin on Monday.
That's Grace Amoajiman there. And also the Ghana, from what we're gathering now, needs $300 million annually to fund the achievement of its HIV and AIDS elimination target by 2030. The Director General of the AIDS Commission, Dr. Chemi Etiahim, who spoke to Sarah Apenkro on the sidelines of the dissemination of the National AIDS Spending Assessment, said it will take 50 more years for the country to achieve this target with the current inflows. The Ghana AIDS Commission expended over $126 million in 2022, representing a 1% decrease from the 2021 expenditure. Donor funds accounted for 43% of this figure, with government providing the remaining $51 million. The private sector also donated $20 million. The Director General of the AIDS Commission revealed the Commission is working towards improving its access to funds.
What investment or how much money would enable us achieve our targets in the National Strategic Plan? And where should the money come from? And so the analysis clearly showed that from now till the year 2030, donor funding may not rise. It points to the fact that government contribution to the program will have to increase significantly. Annually, we will require almost $300 million a year for the AIDS program alone to achieve the targets. Otherwise, if the status quo as it is must remain now, it will take us more than 50 years to even achieve those targets.
UNAIDS Country Director Hector Scully Perez encouraged government to mobilize domestic resources for funding.
Most of the people think that, for example, we are exhibiting the 2020 register. So they'll tell you that
what investment or how much money would enable us achieve our targets in the National Strategic Plan? And where should the money come from? And so the analysis clearly showed that from now till the year 2030, donor funding may not rise.
As of 2023, Ghana has 344,095 people living with HIV and AIDS. The figure is made up of 17,550 children under the age of 15. Some 14 minutes after 6 here on Hot Edition. We're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Keep your thoughts coming in at 3FM 927. Read out to you and to the rest of the world. Also, we're monitoring the developments related to some engagement with the National Peace Council and also some political parties who will be updating you as and when we get some more information. Stay with us. We're back shortly after this quick break here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond.
wake up early every weekday because of you to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helena Piambofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Radio Development Show Host of the Year 2016-2017.
And the winner is John Hughes. Check.
Hi, my name is Johnny Hughes, your community rights advocate, and I'm still on the quest to bring smiles into your communities with Community Connect on 3FM 92.7. Join me this and every Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on 3FM, and together we will solve the problems bothering your communities.
I know your program is a program that always get a result. Myself, I'm a witness to that.
What can we do to help your community today in terms of education, health, sanitation, security, and all the issues in between from your community's perspective? Tune in to Community Connect every Friday morning at 9 a.m. as we get interactive live on radio and on Twitter at 3FM 927 and on Facebook at 3FM 92.7. Community Connect, helping solve your community problems.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And still on the program, the minority in Parliament says that Ghana's cocoa sector has been mismanaged and is no longer viable. The evidence, they insist, is the country's inability to secure a syndicated loan for the upcoming cocoa crop season. Cocoa Board CEO Joseph Boahini Ado at a news conference yesterday announced that it will not seek offshore syndicated loans. But the minority says that the decision to resort to the local market stems from the poor health of Cocoa Board. And we're joined by Minta Akando, who is a member of the minority group in Parliament leading this charge. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can. I hope you can hear us clearly as well.
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Now, $1.5 billion request did not attract interest from international banks due to poor health of cocoa board and collapse of cocoa sector under the present governmental management. That's what you allege?
Yes, so records clearly indicate that cocoa board for the past 7 consecutive years have been recorded losses. And so for the past 7 years, if you care to know, in 2017, cocoa board recorded about 395 million loss. It recorded in 2018, it recorded about 78.2 million loss. In 2019, 320 million. In 2020, 426 million. So in all, for the past 7 years, cocoa board has recorded not less than 11 billion Ghana cedis losses per the Auditor General's report. So, as I speak to you now, they have a rollover or a deficit of more than 250,000 metric tons that they must even clear per the syndicated loan last year. So, for the past 2 years, the practice has been that you go for the loan, you buy, then you offset the loan. But because they have been recording these losses, no bank in the international arena is ready to offer them any loan, because from 2016-2017 cocoa season, we have moved from 969,000 metric tons to now struggling to even get 400,000 metric tons. And out of the 400,000 metric tons they are, yearning to buy, it means that they have a rollover of about 250,000 metric tons. So it's not viable. No serious bank will entertain such a useless institution.
Such a useless institution, you say. I just wanted you to hold on whilst I run you through some other details, and then we'll continue with our conversation. Aside from the $1.5 billion request, which did not attract interest from international banks due to the poor health of cocoa board, which we've spoken about, there's also the bit about cocoa board being chased away from international market over no credit worthiness, lack of credibility, and inability to produce enough cocoa to meet contractual obligations. And this latter part has been on for some time. Again, for 7 consecutive years, cocoa board has recorded huge losses amounting to over 11 billion Ghana cedi debt under this government. Now, doesn't it make sense, Mr. Kando, that the nation shift towards self-financing as against seeking money from the international market?
No. So you see, the issue is that where are you going to get the money to finance yourself? Is that the case that we are going to print our own money to now shoot the inflation high and weaken our currency? You know that once we get this syndicated loan, it gives a lot of strength to our currency. That's why we have a lot of foreign exchange in the country. So it is very important in our economy. So now, how are you going to finance yourself? Even when you were going for syndicated loans, you were running at a loss. So the most important point to make is that it is not as though they didn't send any proposal. So it's a second thought. It's a face-saving gimmick. They sent the proposal for the loan of $1.5 billion US, and the international banks have rejected the proposal. That's a fact. So once they reject the proposal, you have no option than to resort to these gimmicks.
Mr. Kanda,
we are going to run.
You would also, yes, I can hear you. You would also admit that the minority as a group in parliament has a responsibility to keeping the government on its toes. Aside from describing this action by Cocoa Board as a face-saving gimmick, what is your group doing to ensure that at least we bring some sanity?
So that's exactly what our responsibility is, to grant the loan for the Cocoa Board to go ahead to purchase these, cocoa beans. So not until the international banks agree to the proposal, there's nothing before us, but we in Parliament do not run the day-to-day affairs of Cocoa Board. So if you approve the loan for you and you go and run it down, what can we do? secondly, what we will do to keep the government on its toes is exactly what I'm doing with you, to let Ghanaians know the truth and the real situation on the ground, so that they will not come and confuse us. They will not come and throw that into the eyes of the public, and we will tell you the truth. Okay, now Ghana government is now going to go into competition with other individuals in the country domestically. You know what it means? It means that lending rates and the interest are going to go up. It's going to go up. So it has a lot of financial implications or economic implications in the country. And even when we had syndicated loan, we were always struggling to even pay the bills on time. Now that we are going to go to do this, we are going to have problems for even purchasing these things. And again, last year, we went for a loan to purchase more than 600,000 metric tons. Now, we have after the loan, we couldn't give them the amount of cocoa beans we promised to give them per the loan. So now we have an outstanding of about 250,000 metric tons, which is outstanding. And so even if they give us any loan, that obligation must be satisfied. So that is why every bank in the international arena is running away. So let Cocoa Board come and tell us that how are they going to finance? And you see, it is not as though over the years we don't organize money domestically. We do, but that money we organize domestically is not enough to purchase the quantity of beef we have always been yearning for.
Ms. Akando,
every year.
You wouldn't think that you as a member of parliament and perhaps the committees in parliament could be shirking some responsibilities here, because that's why the committees are there. I just heard you say that if we give them the money and they go and mismanage it, what do we do? But you're supposed to be getting regular updates as to how things are going and all of that. So we don't get here and you end up coming here to tell us that Cocoa Board must be explaining.
If we have been following the minority group on this cocoa issue, consistently every year we come out with how Cocoa Board is collapsing the cocoa sector. Every year, okay, we come up with how Cocoa Board is collapsing this sector. We take them on all the time, but at the end of the day, there's absolutely nothing you can do than to take them on as we are doing. What again can you do? Even the Auditor General report has reported the losses they have made for some time now. What else can we do? So we are not taking our responsibilities. We will continue to tell Ghanaians the truth, but unfortunately, there's very little we can do as.
Oh, we seem to have lost him there, but that was Minta Akando, Kwabena Minta Akando. He is the Member of Parliament for Dwaboso and also a member of the minority, telling us that the minority would hold Cocoa Board accountable for whatever is happening in the organization.
I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. That's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com and join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. My name is Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.